All right. So welcome to week 2. Couple of things I want to do tonight. I would like to go over the discussion, just talk briefly about it. I also will go over the assignment, briefly talking about what is supposed to be done. I want to explain it to you, and then I'm going to do a demonstration of it. And then finally, you guys have the midterm this week, so I can't really go through the midterm giving you the questions, but what I can do is I can give you an idea of what will be covered in the midterm, and I intend to do that. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. We'll talk about this week's discussion, the assignment for the week, and I'll do some demonstration of it, and then I'll give you an idea of what the quiz will be, your midterm. Okay, so that's that. There's one more thing that I'd like to do before I officially get started, and that is I wanted to point out that last week, not everybody submitted, but those who did submit did a really nice job on their assignments last week. The face, the doing of the face using the fonts. I have to be completely honest with you. Some of your pieces were phenomenal. I mean, I really loved some of the things that you submitted. I really did want to show the entire class those pieces. However, I make it a rule not to show work, student work, unless the students give me specific approval to do so. I did send the email. I guess everybody got the email, and several of you did reply that it would be okay for me to show the work. So I will be doing, before the end of the night, a discussion of 3 pieces that I have that people have decided they would let me show, which is better than nothing. But I have to be completely honest with you. I wish all of you who submitted last week would reconsider for next week, because there are some really good things there, and I would love to be able to show the entire class. I've taught this class before, and be honest with you, some of the things that were submitted this week were so much better than what I've seen students do before that I took it upon myself to say this to you. I thought it was really important for me to tell you. I did try to express that in my critiquing of the pieces, but I want to urge you to reconsider for next week and let me show the pieces, because they're really, really phenomenal. I mean, some of you guys, well, I'm going to talk about the ones that will allow me, that did allow me, but I have to be honest with you, some of the characterizations that you guys came up with were beautiful, really nicely done, really professional looking. You know, again, I just don't want to keep going on about it, but I was very surprised and very happy by what you guys did. So reconsider, maybe for next week, let me show some of the work if you haven't done it already. All right. And for those of you who did contact me, thank you very much. All right. Let me shut this off. Okay. And so I'm going to start by talking a little bit about the discussion. One very important thing, I'm going to scroll down. One very important thing I'm going to ask you to do. Look, guys, let's try to get as professional as possible, please. Okay. I'm coming down to mine. I want you to notice right here that I have DES-113 Typography, Discussion Week 2, Bill Sweeney, and then actually there should be a title. I forgot the title. But what I would like you to do very much is I would like you to put this information into your post if you haven't already made your post. It is professional. And if you come up with a title, you come up with a title. But put this in. Start putting this in. It's very important that you do this. It makes you look professional. It makes you look like you really care about what you're doing. Okay, I'm not going to deduct points if you don't, but my goal here is to try to get you guys thinking as professionally as possible. And this, I just took a master's degree program, and to be completely honest with you, my instructor in the master's degree program made sure that I titled mine every assignment that I handed in. And I got to tell you, that master's degree program, it was a course. The course was visual communications, master's degree in visual communications. And nearly everything that I did in that course, and there were 10 different parts to the course, almost everything, with the exception of a handful of assignments that were scattered through the course, every single thing that I did was writing. I don't think I've ever done so much writing in my life. I really loved it because I'm a terrible writer, and it really helped me improve my writing. But why I'm getting into this with you is it just makes you look more professional. And I got to tell you, in my master's degree program, my instructor did dock points when I didn't put the titling in properly. And it taught me real quickly to put the titling in properly. Now, I'm not going to do that to you, but I'm asking you for your own benefit more than for mine, that you start doing things the right way. And putting this kind of information on at the beginning of your submission is the right thing to do. All right? So again, I'm not going to keep going on about it. I just wanted to mention it. All right, so the things that we're going to be thinking about with this discussion. You're going to visually analyze and identify 4 font features that work best for web versus print, okay? Now, really, it's not that difficult to do. And as a matter of fact, what I think I'm going to do for your benefit is I'll give you one, and then you can go in and you can figure out the other 3. But I can give you basically one feature that you can use if you want to use it. And that is the fact that there are different types or classifications of fonts. The two primary classifications that I want you to concern yourself with at this time, because we're talking about print versus web, is serif and sans serif fonts. So where I'm going with this is that when you work with fonts in print versus the web, body copy specifically, smaller copy that fits into a range of 9 point to about 12 point. If you're doing something in print, I think you're going to find that for print, if you're using body copy, again, 9 to 12 point, you're going to find that serif fonts work better for that kind of copy. Now, if you're going to be producing copy on the web, generally copy on the web comes out at around 16 points. That's about the standard font size. Now, you can set, using CSS, you can set smaller sizes for your font. But here's the deal. When you're working on the web, you're working with resolutions, and the resolutions are lower. So what generally will happen is the serifs can be affected by the resolution and the font size. So when you're working on the web, you tend to work with sans serif fonts as opposed to serif fonts, okay? So there's one feature that you can discuss. There are 3 more that you're going to come up with, okay, and I'll let you do that. You're also going to identify and select an appropriate font for a specific purpose. In a very small way, this should give you an idea of how important this part of this topic really is. I mean, what it really comes down to is that as a graphic designer, there are going to be very few projects that you work on where you're not going to be working with fonts. I mean, fonts are an integral part of graphic design. And there are 2 ways that you might be working with fonts. One way is in a branded environment where you have a company that gives you a branding manual. And what a branding manual will do is it will list a bunch of things, considerations, that the graphic designer must take into account when they design something for the company. One of those considerations would probably be specific fonts that the company would want you to use. Now, if you're following the branding, the standards correctly, you would use those fonts. So that sort of takes away that creative angle from you. It kind of puts you in a position where, okay, so this is what they want, this is what I use. Then there's the other environment where perhaps they don't have a branding manual, and it's up to you as the graphic designer to make the proper choice of a font for a particular job. Then it becomes a little bit more extreme as far as your capacity to figure this out, because it's going to be up to you. You're going to have to make decisions based on the project and the company and the product or whatever you're working with. So you know, it is very important for you to begin to understand fonts and what are appropriate and what are right and what are wrong and what, you know, makes sense and what don't make sense. There's an awful lot of fonts out there. So there's your learning objectives. I think you're going to find that, you know, these are important things. Choosing a font for a project is one of the most basic tasks of a designer job. I mean, I basically said that. It also is one of the most important, as the right font will impact both the look and usability of the project. You can quickly make or break the successful delivery of your message. You know, again, there's two ways to go. You either are working in a branded environment where that problem is taken away from you. You don't have to worry about it because you follow the directions in the branding manual, and the branding manual will specify fonts and how to use them. So it's just your job to do that, to follow those requirements. Again, you can get into a situation where there is no branding manual, and at that point you go in and work through this thing, okay? Impacting the look and usability of the project, okay? Fonts cannot be chosen just by your personal preference, but need to fulfill certain criteria depending upon the function of the design. So now we're getting into what I was talking about with the contrasting the fonts and usage for print in the web. That's, I think, a very easy one for you to comprehend. I mean, the bottom line is when you're working with print, you're working with 300 pixels per inch. You got a higher level of resolution, greater detail. And for some reason, the serifs seem to read better. They just seem to read better when they're in print. They are easier on the eye. You make better movement from left to right with the serif fonts. When you're on the web, what happens with the serifs is because of the resolution, which is much lower, and the serifs, which tend to be rather small, you know, you run into a problem where the fonts could look bad, and that's why you'll find that when it's something to do with the web, generally people go to the sans serif fonts where there are no serifs. So, you know, again, personal preference, you know, it's beyond personal preference. It's what makes sense depending upon the function. Being able to choose appropriate fonts for your design will be one of the main signs that you are ready to work in a professional setting. I have no doubt that that is absolutely correct. You can never know enough about fonts. I also want to point out to you that you don't have to know everything about fonts, but you have to know the basic stuff, and you have to know the most important things. And then from that point forward, you have to be willing to put the effort into choosing fonts and looking at fonts and making decisions based on what would make most sense for any given project. So choosing the right font. It's been said that a font is the clothes letters wear. So when using text, the designer always has to ask themselves what to wear. And that's kind of true. And ultimately, what you're doing is you're looking at a project, you're looking at a given environment, and I think a little bit later on, they're going to set up several scenarios, and they're going to be asking you basically to decide on what would be the correct font for that particular scenario. And again, I've done it. I've given you rationale for this, and you're going to have to follow my lead essentially and make decisions based on what you think are correct. You could do research on this. I did a little bit of research on it, but to be honest with you, I've been working with this so long that I tend to know how to answer these questions. I tend to know without doing an awful lot of research. But again, I've been doing this work now for 46 years. And one of the things that I said to you just a little while ago is that fonts are an integral part of graphic design. So from day one, I've been dealing with fonts, and in 46 years, one becomes pretty good with understanding the basic direction that you have to go in when you're working with fonts. That much I can tell you. So I'm not going to go through all this because it's a lot of silliness, but you should read it. Okay, I'm going to go down to here where it says it will take some research to select an appropriate font for a specific occasion. Take advantage of font libraries like TypeKit. I have nobody in the room, so I can't really ask you how much you know about TypeKit. I will go into TypeKit tonight, and I will do a little bit of explaining. Again, I don't know how much you know about TypeKit. It's kind of difficult because there's nobody in the room that I can question. It's a 100-level course, so you may not know too much about it, but I will go in and I will give you the basic rundown on TypeKit. And if you have any problems, you can come and see me in multi-session tomorrow night, or you can visit me in Blackboard, and I can work with you a little bit more on it. To test what your text will look like in a few different options, make sure that you find the right font for the job. When choosing a typeface, graphic designers consider the history of typefaces, their current connotations, as well as their formal qualities. Well, out of those three, the most important one is the formal qualities, obviously, because you're going to be working with different media types, and what qualities work best with media types is one of the things that you really have to learn to understand. Again, a lot of this is not that difficult to understand, but you have to go through it, and you have to get that understanding through experience. I mean, like I told you, I've been doing this work for 46 years, and and what I may do later on tonight or tomorrow is I may put since we're talking about fonts, I may put in a project that I did back in 1971 before I had any special training as a graphic designer. I had absolutely no training as a graphic designer. I had some raw talent as an illustrator. There was a company that gave me a job illustrating first day of issue caches, and I have a photograph that I took of one of those caches. And the reason that I would put this into an announcement for you to look at is so that you could see how terribly I handled the type. And maybe I should be ashamed of this, but I have a perspective on this that basically, I was 17 years old. I had no formal training at all as a graphic designer. I barely knew what a graphic designer was. As a matter of fact, back then I didn't even consider myself or thought of myself as a graphic designer. I thought of myself as an illustrator. It took me a while to understand that I'm not really an illustrator. I'm a graphic designer. Okay? Now, I could have been an illustrator, but I'm not. I'm just not. I'm not that good. There are people out there that do amazing things. I'm not I'm not an illustrator. I'm a graphic designer. I'm a good graphic designer. I'm a mediocre illustrator. But back then, I thought I was going to be an illustrator, but I also didn't know a thing about fonts. So I'm telling you this so that you know that everybody goes through the process of learning this stuff. Everybody, including me. Now, of course, mine happened a long time ago, but it doesn't matter. It's still the same process. And I can show you an example of something that I did, which is terrible. I mean, really. And when I was 17 years old, it wasn't terrible. But now that I'm 66 years old, it's terrible. Okay? So, I mean, I'm being honest with you, and I'm being open with you, and I'm just trying to explain to you something that maybe will give you hope that the more time and effort you put into this, the better you will become. Because that's how I became good, is I just put a lot of effort into it, many years into it, and my heart and soul. So that's really what it all comes down to. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, so TypeKit, when choosing a typeface, yeah, we talked about that. The goal is to find an appropriate match between the style of letters and the specific social situation and body of content that define the project in hand. Well, I'll change that slightly to say the media type has a lot to do with it. Whatever type of media that you're working with has to do with your choices. Now, when I talk about media types, print is a media type. Web design is a media type, okay? Videography is a media type. Animation is a media type. There's a lot of different media types, and each one of them has their own specific type of goals, and your fonts need to be appropriate for the media type, okay? The social situation, that's what I'm equating to media type, okay? And the body of content that define the project at hand. There's no playbook that assigns a fixed meaning or function to every typeface. Each designer must confront the library possibilities in light of the project's unique circumstances. That's a really, really accurate statement. There are no real playbooks. However, there are a lot of established rules. People have put down sets of rules that you can go in and you can find and you can learn. And even though they're not official playbooks and rules are meant to be broken, I would not recommend you break rules until you learn the rules. It takes somebody who's an expert on rules to be able to effectively break a rule. So I just say that to you because I want you to keep that in mind, okay? And there is a library of possibilities, and that is true. There are literally thousands of fonts out there, okay? So all these things are very important. And that gets me to the number one aspect of this, print versus web. Serif or sans serif. And I spoke a little bit about this. Let's see what this says. As you may have discovered from your readings, there's not only differences in the style of fonts look for certain projects, but also how it works from a technical standpoint. What they're talking about when they say technical standpoint is the media type, okay? The rule of thumb used to be that a serif font was easier to read in smaller fonts and big bodies of copy because little serifs lead the eye from one letter form to the other, and how the thicks and thins makes the shape more unique to our brain. Now that's very true. However, that applies primarily to the media type print. It's true if you're looking at printed type. See, it says it right there. But since the digital revolution, more and more people are reading from the screen, whether it is a computer, tablet, or a mobile phone. Here, the problem that you run into is right here. It's stated, resolution of the screen. Now, the resolution of a screen is generally, again, in the range of 72 to 90 pixels per inch, which is a lot less than 300 pixels per inch, which was basically what you get when you're printing something, when you're doing something in process printing, all right? Then there's the added influence of zooming to the screen, which the print can only do, which you can only do with a magnifying glass or glasses. On the screen, a sans serif font is much more manageable and readable, as the thinner strokes will not disappear in the resolution. When they're talking about thinner strokes, there are some fonts that have thick, thin strokes. And then also when they're talking about these strokes, the serifs can literally begin to disappear, all right? David Kadavi explains in his book, Designed for Hackers, the popular web fonts Arial, Verdana, Georgia, and Times New Roman are not only because of their wide availability, because they are drawn with screen limitations in mind. So what they do is they try to pick fonts that they can manipulate and create the best possible screen resolution scenarios. Let me move this up a little bit. It's also the underlying reason for Google's latest revision of their logo from serif to sans serif. Here's a very important point. What they've done literally, and this is, I mean, here you can see it in a smaller scale. This Google logo is not really ever presented this small. But I think you can see already that you've really lost the serif at this size. There's no serif on this, so you have no loss. It's just a cleaner presentation at the small scale like this, okay? Now, again, they're never shown at that small scale, but because they feel in the case of a sans serif font, it's just cleaner and more readable, they've changed. And I think it's a good idea. So generally, sans serif font seems to be a better style for the web. There are many options out there. Some even condemn the features of the most classic of all fonts, the Apple Choice Helvetica. You know, here's the problem with the web. The web is, unless you're going to use web-safe fonts, you're going to be stuck with some basic fonts. Is it the end of the world? No, it's not. But web-safe fonts make it possible for you to use a wider variety of fonts. However, keep in mind that what you're probably going to want to do for the web is stick to one of two things, either a sans serif font, or if you're going to use, and this is something you should write down and look up so that you can see what I'm talking about, compare a standard serif font to a slab serif font. Take a look at slab serif fonts. You'll do that later. I'm going to actually do that later. But for your own benefit, look at slab serif fonts as opposed to standard serif fonts. And I think you'll see what I'm talking about. The slab serif font is very squared off, almost like straight slabs or chunks in a rectangular form. Because of the geometric nature of the slab serif fonts, you don't have the loss of the serif at all. So that's something else to consider. The main thing that comes out of this discussion is that for fonts to be fully functional on the web, they have to be designed for the web. It's very important. What they've done literally is they've gone in and they've redesigned almost all the standard fonts for the web. All right. And that the medium of the font is used to play is also plays a huge role in choosing the right font for the job. I mean, they end with that. That's absolutely an essential thing for you to understand. It is true. And again, the only time that you get a reprieve from that is if you're working in a branded environment. And generally speaking, what a branded environment will afford you is choices made by the company. So you've basically got your choices made for you. You don't have to struggle with trying to come up with what font to use for the web and what font to use for print, because the company is telling you what font to use for each. That actually makes things easier. The problem with that is, of course, not every single company that you're going to work with in any way, shape, or form, either as a freelancer or in a full-time situation or a contract situation, not every company is going to have a branding or standards manual. The better companies will. That much I can tell you for a fact. But keep that in mind. It's very important. All right, let's move on. For this discussion, you are giving 4 scenarios of designer font choices below. Choose 3 of the 4 to comment on your post. So basically what you're doing is you're taking a look at these little scenarios. Then what I would do is, if you don't know what the font looks like, I'd do a Google search for the font and look at it and see what you think you should choose. Each scenario has 2 designer choices listed in the project. What they're talking about is, let's go to scenario 1. A headline for an article in a news website. So now you've got a couple of things going here. Number 1, it's a headline for an article, and it's on a website. The media type is not print, because if it would not be an article on a news website, it would be a news periodical. So this is not a print project, this is a web project. So then you are given Mrs. Eves, all caps, and Frutiger, bold, compressed. Those are your choices for a headline, okay? So it's going to be up to you to go in and decide which would be most appropriate to use as a headline for an article in a news website, okay? Now, I'm not going to tell you what to do here, but what I can tell you is this. I did this for you. I came down here and I did. Here's mine, okay? And you can go through mine and you can read mine and you can see what I tell you is and I'm not looking for you to copy what I say, okay? But I can tell you right now that if you look at mine, I pretty much explain the situation to you. And you can go in and you can take what I wrote and make it your own. And I basically give you the answers that you're looking for, okay? So I'm just mentioning that to you. Basically, I'm not going to go through the explanation, the whole thing here. There are 4 choices. One's a headline for an article on a news website. One is the word courage as a tattoo design. That's a media type, which is completely different than a news website. I mean, this is a piece of body art. And when I say body art, even though it's body art, one of the major things why it falls into the categorization of being a graphic design is because so often in the course of creating a tattoo, the tattoo artist incorporates a font or type into the design. And in this particular case, there are two very different fonts that are being shown here, and I think that was one of the ones that I chose too. And maybe read my explanation and see if my explanation makes sense to you, why I chose what I chose. The scenario 3 is an invitation to a baby shower. Again, I didn't pick this one, okay, but there are two different fonts, Shelby and Optima, and you can very easily just take a look at that and decide what you think would make the most sense for that particular media type. And again, an invitation to a baby shower, the type of media type that we're talking about here is print, okay? So that's a media type. Now, the fourth one is body copy for a digital version of a romance novel. Well, that's another media type, which is, again, print. And the designer choices are Avenir Book and Bookmania Light. Now, I did choose this one, and you can read my criteria for why I made the choice that I made. Now, you're going to find my post very helpful. But again, I'm not looking for you to just simply go in there and copy from me. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to gain some understanding, okay? I really would. So maybe look up media types and look up fonts for media types and see what they give you as far as suggestions are concerned. I mean, I did do a little bit of that, but I don't have to do that because I've been doing this for so long that I know I can just literally, what did they tell you that you have to write here? 150 words or something? Let me see here. Choose 3 of the 4. Let's see here. Okay, so what scenarios are you evaluating? Which designer's font did you determine? What did you find in your research to support this decision? See, I didn't have to do much research because I knew what to write here because I know enough to know what to write here. And at least 3 qualities of each make it suitable for the occasion. Include the media, the mode of delivery. When they're referring to mode of delivery, I'm referring to media type. They're the same thing. Mode of delivery, media type, same thing. Media type to me just sounds more professional. So again, see, web versus print and why. Okay? You can take a screenshot for each font example, embed it in your post. I did that. In replies, be sure to discuss why you agree or disagree with your fellow classmates and reasoning. I want to go on for a moment with you guys because I'm going to say generally as a rule, this last week's discussion, most all of you were a little bit weak on your discussions, all of you. I didn't, kill anybody, but you were all a little weak on your discussions. What I'm looking for is, and look at this very carefully, you state why you agree or disagree with your fellow classmate. Why? What's the reasoning? You got to have a reason. Why did you agree? Why did you disagree? And then, did you choose the same designer? Or did you choose something different? Why? Were your reasons similar, or did you find other qualities in the font as to why you chose it? Or, what qualities did you find in your choice? And then finally, one very important thing that I want you all to think about doing is, remember, this is a discussion. So in a situation where we have a discussion, try to incorporate a question into it. I mean, the bottom line is you want to engage the person who you're leaving this discussion. If you take a look at my replies to you, in most cases, I have mine ending with a question. What do you think? I'd like to know what you think. I do that deliberately, and I make sure that I put it right at the bottom. Not because I don't know how to incorporate it in a clean way, but I'm doing it for a different reason. I'm doing it as a way of showing you that I've incorporated a question into my replies. So I'm really looking for you to do that, all right? And don't forget your citation. And one very important thing, I'm looking for you guys to creatively use some embedded images. I think generally everybody last week's discussion did pretty well with the embedding of images. One person had trouble. Their images didn't display, but everybody else did pretty good with this. Okay, so yeah, I think I've spent enough time with this. I'm going to let this go. I hope I did this well enough that you have no problems. If you do, send me an email. Let's move on to the assignment. All right, so font category research. I'm going to go through this a little bit, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you what I did with this, and then I'm going to demonstrate how you might do some of the things that I did. Again, you don't have to do it exactly the way I did it, but I'm going to show you using Adobe InDesign how I did this. In the process, I'm also going to take you in and have you take a look at TypeKit, and I'm going to show you some of the fonts that I've downloaded from FontKit, and I'm going to show you the 8 classifications of fonts, where you can find them in Adobe Illustrator and where you can find them in TypeKit. Because part of the assignment, and let me get to it, I'll stop here and let me get to it in a minute, with all the font offerings available to designers, separating font families into different categories. There's the key word, categories. There are 8 categories. That's what we're going to be dealing with tonight in this assignment, the categories. It's a good way to narrow down your choices to find fonts that fit your purpose. So essentially what this is saying is that you may have 2,000 fonts, but the one thing that you can pretty much count on is that there are 8 categories of fonts, and of those 2,000 fonts, they will all fit into one of those categories. So it's easy for you, if you're thinking in terms of a category, like, use an example, sans serif. Okay, you can very easily go in and eliminate all the other 7 categories and just look at the sans serif category and see what sans serif fonts are available to you. Okay, so I mean, it may sound like a very simple thing, but I'm sure that there's 1 or 2 of you that probably had no idea that that's possible. And it is very possible, and as a matter of fact, it's very important for you to be able to think that way when you're thinking about fonts, because bottom line is you want to make sure that you arrive at the right place as efficiently as possible. So if you're working on something for the web, or better yet, let's say you're working for something for print, and you need body copy, and you're not working in a branded environment, what you probably are going to want to do is you're going to probably want to take a look at sans serif fonts, or I'm sorry, serif fonts. You're going to be looking for serif fonts for body copy. They may not look for serif fonts for headlines, but you'll probably be looking for serif fonts for your body copy. And you can easily go in and you can go and look at all the serif fonts, eliminating the other 7 categories, and make it a lot easier for you to decide where you want to head in the direction of a serif font. Okay? Being familiar with these classifications and categories and your appropriate uses will also help you communicate more clearly with other designers and clients. This is very important because the bottom line is, if you're not in a branded environment, the client is going to ultimately want to know what choices you're going to make. And you may end up making something known as a mood board, where you actually show different things that you're going to use within the context of any given project. And one of those things would be, we're not going to be, by the way, not working on mood boards tonight or this course, but you will be in the future. If you haven't already, you're going to be building mood boards for other projects. And one of the things that you do when you build a mood board is you establish a set of fonts that you are going to use, much like you would do in a branding environment. So all these things are important for you to understand. So type categories, classifications, and font family. The 19th century printers and founders started to separate fonts into different classifications based on some main features. So there's a rationale for doing this. Serif and sans serif are the broadest of these classifications. Serifs are the little ending feet of each line of the character, stemming from the finishing touch of chisel in stone. I have no idea what this link go to, but you know what? Just for the heck of it, I'm going to click on it. Let's see what it does. Okay, there you go. There's your serif. That's actually a good thing, because there's your serif. this is what they're talking about. There's your feet. There's the feet. And this is actually a serif as well. Serif as well. So there's your serif, okay? And you can, again, look at this. Now, sans serif, obviously, oops, that's a bad link, looks to me. Yeah, this is a bad link. This should be going to the sans serif. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it went to the wrong link. All right, well, sorry about that. Anyway, the sans serif would be less those feet. I guess that's the best way to put it. And okay, so let's move down. Within those categories are other sub-classifications. They're sometimes used to further define serif fonts with certain qualities, such as humanist, old style, traditional, modern, Egyptian, slab serif. There it is, slab serif. That's the one I was talking about earlier. And if you take a look at slab serif, you'll see that it is very squared off, very geometric in appearance. And you can well imagine that if you're working with something like that, you know, you would have less problem with it because of the nature of online, which is it's low resolution and pixelization that occurs. So take a look to see what I'm talking about. You know, compare it to a traditional serif, which is like this. This isn't really a slab serif, although this is by no means the finest serif you're going to see. Times New Roman has a finer serif than that. All right. So exploring and using TypeKit. Your computer comes installed with a few commonly used fonts, many which become overused and misused by people with little or no understanding of the impact of proper font choices. There's a whole world of font choices out there available to you. Many popular fonts like Universe, Saban, Clarendon, you must pay for in order to use in your products or projects. Similar to using stock images, these and many other well-designed fonts are copyrighted. This can become quite expensive for the designer or client, especially if you are using the font for a headline or one specific advertisement. But as an Adobe CC user, you are not stuck using only the fonts that came installed on your computer. So here's TypeKit. This is the link to TypeKit. I'm really not going to click on this because I've already got TypeKit open up here, and I'm going to go look at it in a minute. With your Adobe CC subscription, you have access to hundreds of fonts through TypeKit, which has the ability to sync fonts into your Adobe CC program like InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop, and use them in all your design projects without having to download them on your computer. Okay. Some fonts have several different type styles available, and you have to sync each one of them to use it. So this is all important for you to understand. There's your link to TypeKit. You don't even have to look it up. The link's right there. All you have to do is click on that, and that'll take you to TypeKit. So here's TypeKit, bringing in the TypeKit. There's TypeKit. This is what it looks like. Now, since this is Adobe, there's your account. You have to log into your account. Now, I'm already logged in here. Okay, and I'm ready to go. Now, the thing that's most important is that you're going to see here, these are some of the samples of the fonts. Now, look at in free and paid plans. This is something that I want you to pay close attention to. In free and paid plans or to buy. In free and paid plans or to buy. In free and paid plans. So the bottom line is, these fonts are going to come up here, and what you're looking for is in free, because none of you have paid plans or you are not going to buy this font. You're not going to spend the money to buy the font. So what you're looking for when these fonts come up, and this only takes a second for you to glance down at this, make sure that the font is available to you in free. That's the most important thing. Now, the other thing that you might want to do is up here, I've set my name in there, okay? So I'm going to change that just so that I can show you that you can do this. ASSIGNME, whoops, ENTWK2, okay? So I've now changed this from my name to Assignment Week 2. There it is. And if you want, you can take this and you can make it smaller so that you can see what it looks like. Now that's 14 point. Or you can bring it up and take a look at what this looks like all the way up to 120 point, okay? And you can click on this, and you can come in and you can take a look at what's available. Okay? There you go. These are all available to you. Okay? And now all you're going to do is you're going to click here to sync fonts. Now, I'm not going to do this because you're only allowed so many of them. I'm not going to come in here and do this. I've already downloaded several of them. But what I do want to do is I want to go back. I'm going to go back. And this is what I want to show you next. You see the classifications here? This is what I want you to focus your attention on. Because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've got 8 different classifications of fonts, which is exactly what we're talking about this week, the classifications of fonts. So it's very important for you to understand that you can get your classifications right here. If I click on sans serif, okay, nothing happens because sans serif is the one that I've currently got chosen. But watch what happens when I click on classifications for serif. What it does is it brings up all the available serif fonts. Now again, you got to look for in free and paid plans, in free and free. Look for the ones that are in free and choose the ones that are in free. What you're going to do is you're going to download some of these classifications. Here's the slab serifs. This is the one that I was telling you to look for. These are slab serifs. Now let me go back to serif. Take a look at the difference between the serif on Kepler. Look at the serif on Kepler. See how fine that Kepler serif line is? Also, look at that little line that runs across the A, and look at how fine that line gets as it reaches the top of the A. Try to imagine what would happen to that at small size. Let's bring it down to small size. You see what happens as it goes down to small size? It almost disappears. And this would be a problem. This is set to 14 point. Let's make it 16. Let's see if I can get it to 16. I got 17. I don't know whether I can get 16. It's hard to do this. 17 will have to do. There's 15. There's 15 point. 16 point on the web is standard. Look at that font. It becomes almost unreadable. Okay? Now, if you go into slab serif, on the other hand, okay, slab serifs, even though they're still a little bit troublesome, they're a little bit bolder and a little bit easier to read. But now let's go into sans serif. Now you see the difference between sans serif. This is at 15 points. See how much more readable they are. Now we're looking at immediate type here. This is a site that's on the internet. Okay? So what you're seeing and what I'm demonstrating is what these fonts look like when you're dealing with them on the internet. Okay? And if they were in print, of course, it would be a different story. But keep that in mind because we're dealing with me looking at your fonts. But again, you got your classifications in here. What you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to pick from these different classifications. I don't think I have a decorative font, so let me go in and click on a decorative font and see if I got anything I like in here. Let's see here. Sale is kind of interesting. That's awful. Let's see, assignment week 1, number. There's 4 pages, so I'm going to go to the next page. Let's see what's in the next page. Again, I'm in decorative. There's 4 pages. I really don't know what I want to get. I'm just going to pick something here because I don't see anything I like. That's the problem. I don't really see anything I like in a decorative. I don't use decorative very much. So I'm just going to grab one because I don't want to waste a lot of time with it. So let's say I grab this one here, okay? There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sync the font, okay? And now the font is synced, okay? It should be synced. Let's see. I don't know. Does it look like it is? I think it might be. What was the name of it again? Here we go. Boston Traffic. I don't know whether I got it or not. Well, anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sync it. Now let's go into Illustrator and see if I got it. It's Boston Traffic Regular. Okay, so let me click on this. First of all, before I go any further with this, these are 3 fonts. Let me go to my character panel. Bring my character panel out. Okay, so my character panel is where you're going to find all this stuff. So let's see if I click on this guy right here, and let me go in here, and let's go to add fonts from TypeKit. Let's go TypeKit. There we go. Acumen, Bungee, Open Sans Condensed, and it don't look like it came in. Might not have let me have that one. I had no trouble doing it this afternoon. I got these, but it doesn't look like it came in for me. Let's see here. Yeah, let me try it again one more time. Let me go in here. Let me go back to TypeKit one more time. Let's go to decorative again. Let me just try another one. Let's just go for this one, stencil. There we go. Let's see if I can get this one to come in. Sync the font. All right, let's see here. I don't see it. I might have reached my limit. I might have to unsync something. Let's try that. Open Sans Condense. Let's unsync that. And let's go back and let's see if I can get it. 3 fonts were removed. Okay, so let's see if I can now get it. Let's go back in. Let's see if it'll give it to me now. Let's go to this one. Sync. Here we go. Maybe I'm syncing in the wrong place. Oh, yeah, font. Okay. A font could not be added due to a conflict. Okay, I have no idea what that conflict could be, but let's go in and take a look and see what's going on here. Click on this, and let's go sync it. And see, it didn't let this thing come in for some reason. So I'm having trouble doing this for some reason. I don't know why. We'll go back in and try another one. See if we can do maybe another one. Let's go back. Let's pick another one. And if I can't get this to come in, I'm going to ditch it. There's Bungee. I got that one already. Let's go to Orbitron. Let's try that one. And let's try to sync that. Let's sync the bold. Oh, okay. So this one was added. You see where it says it was added? I had success with this one. Orbitron. Let's see if Orbitron's in fact in there. So that's selected. Let's come in here and let's see if Orbitron's there. I don't see it. Where's Orbitron? There it is right there. Boom, Orbitron. Okay, so I got it. Okay, I got it. All right, so there you go. That's basically all there is to doing this. It is not that big of a deal. You just have to go in. The most important thing is that you come into this place here, okay? Following that link, you go into account. This is Adobe. You use your Adobe account. You sign into your Adobe account. If you don't have an Adobe account, which I think you probably should, because you have the you have all the applications, you would use that sign-in. You may have to make an account. So if you don't have an account, you make an account. If you do have an account, you sign in with your account. And then basically, let's go back one more time, and let's just review quickly. When you go back here, all right, we're going to come up here to the very first section called Classifications. And what you're going to do is, and again, you don't have to download 8 of these. You can download 4 of them, because I'm going to go back into Illustrator in a moment, and I'm going to show you how to do the same thing in Adobe Illustrator, where you can look at classifications, which are the same classifications in here. And if you'd like to choose 4 of the classifications that you have on your computer, be my guest. I have no problem with you doing that. On the other 4, give me at least 4 from here, okay? If you have any problems, you come see me. All right, so there you go. That's it. I'm going to ditch out of here for a minute. Let me see if I can get this thing down so I can ditch out of here. Let's go back into Illustrator. Here we go. Let me get that up. There we go. Okay. So now I'm in Illustrator. I have my character panel. I'm going to shut it. So if you don't have your character panel open, right here is my character. That's my glyphs. If I don't have my character panel, all you do is go to your window menu and you go down to where it says Type, and you go to Character. So Window, Type, Character. Here's your character panel. If you come in here to the drop down, you see where it says Filter. Very first thing you see, Filter. Now, it's set by default to all classes. What that means is that all 8 classes are going to be shown down here. So if I come here and open this up a little bit, let me open this up a little bit, see if I can get this thing to open some, and it ain't going to do it. I'm having nothing but bad luck tonight. Come on. All right, well, I can't get it to open. Well, anyway, the bottom line is you come in here, you've got all classes, but if you click on this, you'll see that you have serif, slab serif, sans serif, script, black letter, monotype, handwritten, and decorative. What this is doing essentially is exactly the same thing that it's doing up on TypeKit, and that is it's showing you the classifications and what you have on your computer that fall within that classification. So to make this easy for you, I'm going to come over and I'm going to click on black letter. The reason I'm going to choose black letter is because black letter has, I think, the least amount of fonts in it, and it will make, I think, the best demonstration of what I'm talking about. So I click on black letter, okay, and as a matter of fact, I'm seeing here that there is no black letter at all on here. Let's try it and see. Let's go back here and try it. Black letter. Let's see, there's nothing in here. I have no black letter, okay? So let's go. Maybe it's because I'm in TypeKit. There we go. Okay, I was in TypeKit. That's why, because I got out of TypeKit. So I have Old English and I have Parchment. There are my black letter fonts. You see that? I was in TypeKit, all right, and I didn't download any. I got out of TypeKit by clicking on it. I'm back into my computer. Now watch, let's do this one more time. Come in here and let's go to handwritten. There's my handwritten. I have Chiller, I have Comic Sans, Dragon is Coming, Echoes, Park Script. I got some nice stuff here, okay? You may not have all these, but the bottom line is if you go into handwritten, you're going to come up with a bunch of things that you can pretty much count on being handwritten, so or falling within the category of handwritten. So I'm saying to you that if you choose to go in and use some of these here on your computers, decorative, these are some of the decorative fonts. Okay, these are within the, that's kind of a nice one right there. Kelowna MT. That's kind of a nice font. But again, you know, it's all what you want to do. I mean, I'm going to let you play. The bottom line is you can filter here and you get all 8 of these. We can go back here into TypeKit, and here's your classifications right here. And once you sign into your account, you can choose. There's sans serif. Here's serif. Here's your slab serif. And the only thing that you have to do is, now check this out, in slab serif, you've only got black oak, you've got roboto slab, and you've got burra. Okay? Now, this is in free, this is in free, and this is in free. So theoretically, if they're in free, you can go to them and it'll come up, and you can come in here and you can sync. There it is. That's the only one it is. If I hit sync, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to be using up my available fonts. But if you click on sync, it will sync. Occasionally, you might get an error. You saw me get an error. But then the next one that I tried, it was successful. That's all there is to this, okay? There's no big mystery here. I just wanted you to get a sense of how this works, okay? So again, go back one more time to make sure it's real clear. There are your classifications. There are all 8 classifications. This is what we're dealing with this week in our assignment, okay? And I'm going to get out of here and go back into my Illustrator. And you got the same thing right here where you can come in here and you can filter. And you can go in and you can look at serif. Let's look at script. There's our script. I got Birds of Paradise, Angel Face. Got some nice scripts. Acumen Variable. Catholish is kind of a nice one. Brush script, channel, slant, that's okay. That's a nice one. Interesting. Monotype, Dear Joe, Dragon is Coming, okay. Echoes Park, kind of nice. So I got a lot of stuff in here. I got a lot of things. So that's what I'm trying to make. And then, of course, TypeKit. If you want to look at TypeKit, you got to click on TypeKit, okay? But you also have to get into the right, I'm going to hit all classes. Now, in all classes, it brings up Acumen Pro, Bungee Regular, Open Sans, and Orbitron Black. Why? Because those are the 4 that I have recently brought in here to show you. Okay? Now, there they are, and there they are. To get out of TypeKit, you click it again, and now you're back into all classes on your computer. And I got this selected so I can literally just roll over this and you can see it changing because I have that selected. Okay? So really, I hope this all makes sense to you. I hope you have no problems with it. I've tried to do this in a way that makes sense. If you have any problems, send me an email, let me know. Give me a phone call, let me know. Or come in tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is our multi-session. I'm going to be here for 2 hours. I'm going to be contacting students if nobody comes in. If you come in, I'll answer your questions. I'll work with you. Whatever you need, we'll do it. And then on Wednesday night, I have Blackboard from 7 o'clock until 11. On Friday, I have it from 9 in the morning until 12. And then Saturday night, again, from 7 o'clock until midnight. And then, of course, there's also Wanda. And Wanda's information is in announcements. Okay? So there you go. That's all I got for you on this. Now, let's go back to our assignment real quickly. Let's go to assignment, and let's go a little further with this. So the prompt for this assignment, you will explore. So this is really what you were looking at here. This is the preliminary stuff for the assignment. That's what this is, this TypeKit. This is the preliminary. This is getting yourself ready to actually do this. For this assignment, you will explore fonts in 8 different type categories. Just like we just went over here in FontKit. Those are your 8 classifications or categories. They say classifications here, but they're saying categories here. Same thing. That's what they're talking about. Serif, sans serif, slab serif, script, black letter, mono hand, and decorative in your CC library. Okay? Choose fonts that you do not already have on your computer. Now, again, I don't mind if you do 4 of them from your computer. As long as you do at least 4 of them from TypeKit, I'll be happy. Okay? I really mean it. You don't have to go and download 8 different ones. That doesn't mean you can't. I mean, you certainly can if you want to. But I'm not gonna be a total stickler on this. If you do 4 of them, then I think you're gonna be successful at doing any that you want in the future. You know, you don't need to do 8 to be an expert at it. 4 will make you an expert. So really, you know, 4 will be good. If you do 8, even better. Okay, but I'm not a monster. I'm easy to deal with. All right. All right. So here we go. The assignment instructions. You can access TypeKit through the computer menu CC. Here again is another link for TypeKit. If you are not already in an Adobe application, you will need to be logged into your Adobe account to access this. So you can log in from your application, or you can go back to the link. And again, keep this in mind. There's the link right there. Don't get confused. Don't get lost. What I did, how I handled mine, was I went in and I opened up Adobe Illustrator because I'm working with Illustrator currently. I also am going to be working in InDesign, but once you load it, it'll be available in InDesign and it'll be available in Illustrator. So I have both of them open up here, and I clicked here and went in and I logged in. Okay, so you're going to have to log in. Hopefully, you'll have no trouble doing that. How to sync fonts. Now, if you don't understand or if you run into problems syncing the fonts, here is help. I'm going to click this and bring it up. This will explain to you, maybe even better than I did, how to sync the fonts. Okay, this will tell you, and this is from Adobe. This comes right out of Adobe. See, help.adobe.com. This tells you exactly how to go in and sync your fonts, and I think you're going to find that it's pretty much the same thing that I told you. Okay, see, it's showing you the classification. Sans serif is selected. If you look over here, these are sans serif fonts, and then you choose a font and you go into your next one here, and then you click sync. So again, this will explain the whole thing to you. I'm showing it to you because I just want you to know that it's there, and there it is. So using InDesign, you're going to create an 8.5 by 11-inch document with default margin settings. Now, I've already done this, and I'm going to show you what I did, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to walk through the process of doing mine all over again so that you could see how I did it. Is the way I did it the only way? No. I don't ever want you to think that just because I do something a certain way, that's the only way to do it. The reason that I actually demonstrate a project that I do is so that I can teach you some things that you may not know about the program Adobe InDesign. That's really why. In this particular case, that's the program that you're using. So it's my goal to try to show you some things that hopefully you don't know about, so that when you go in and try to do this for yourself, you can try these things and learn some things about the program, which is important to me to do for you. All right, so type the name of the font in that font and label which classification it was found in. So these are your instructions, and this is what I did, and you'll see it in a minute. In a legible font, write a brief paragraph of 50 to 60 words. This is incredibly important right here. Notice that it says in a legible font. Okay, so really, you can pick the font. You don't have to go in there, and you don't have to, you know, use the font that you're using for the font that you're describing. All right. The headline or the name, see, they call it the name. I chose mine to look like a headline. I made mine real big, and they want that font in the font that you're using. So that's what's important, is that your first font be in that font that you're using, but the paragraph that you create, 50, 60 words, in a legible font. And you'll see what I mean in a minute, because I'm going to do it. I'm going to go through the process of doing it. Just a couple of things more I want to explain, but it's all here, and I want you to actually go in and I want you to look at it and understand it. I'm explaining it here because I'm hoping that it'll help you. You're going to take and create a paragraph, and when you do this in InDesign, okay, I'm sorry, when you do this in Microsoft Word at the very bottom shows you the word count. So really it's important for you to keep track of the word count and make sure that you do come up with a paragraph of 50 to 60 words. And you shouldn't have any trouble doing that. All you need to tell me is, why did you choose the font? Remember now, you're going to be making 8 classifications of font. You're not going to tell me why you chose the classification, but you're going to tell me why you chose the font that you did from within the classification. Okay, go back to what it's telling you to do here. Yeah, use TypeKit to sync one font from each of the 8 classification categories. Serif, sans serif. So you pick a slab serif. Why did you pick that one? You picked a serif. Why did you pick that one? Sans serif. Why did you pick that one? Script. Why did you pick it? So that's what they're talking about. That's what I want you to make sure you understand. And then what you should do, and this is very easy, just Google the font and find out who designed it and say who designed it. And then in your opinion, or if you want, you can Google this. You know, what personality do you think the font has? It's either you make up your own mind as to what you think the personality of the font is, which is legitimate. You could do that. Or you could Google it to see, you know, what is the personality of, say, Myriad Pro? You know, and I'm sure something will come up, and then you can basically read what it says, and you can basically, in your own words, use that as some guidance. Where you might use it: headlines for an entertainment, publication, body text for a corporation, specific commercial website. When you really look into these different fonts, okay, let's go back up for a second. Each one of these fonts has its own use, its own value, its own place where it would be used, and it also has places where it probably shouldn't be used. And part of this whole process is for you to gain a better understanding of where things should and shouldn't be used. That's the most important thing that you can take away from this, aside from the fact that you'll learn a few more skills in Adobe InDesign. Okay? Let's go a little further down here. You will present a total of 8 fonts, 1 from each classification. So basically, you're going to create 8 different font classifications, each one showing 1 font from that classification. Now, in my assignment, I only did 4 of them because I thought after I did 4 of them, I think you pretty much get the idea of where I was heading with mine. And so I didn't have to show you all 8. But you would do 8, I did 4. And again, you know, I'm only doing it as a demonstration for you. Use the typesetting skills you have learned so far to present your information neatly and professionally. And one of the things that I will do in my demonstration is hopefully show you a few more things that you can learn in Adobe InDesign that hopefully you don't already know. That's part of my goal here, is to work in InDesign a little bit, just so that you have a sense of what InDesign's all about, and I can maybe show you a couple of things that are new, hopefully. Keep the text aligned, legible, and within the margins. Do not add color or any extra decorative elements. I bent that rule ever so slightly. I don't mind if you bend that rule a little bit so slightly. If you take a look at how I did mine, I think you'll see that it's not terribly offensive. I certainly didn't add any color, and I really didn't add any decorative elements. What I did essentially was I took the most strategic advantage of the elements that I created. Keep that in mind. I didn't add color. I didn't add decorative elements, but I strategically utilized the elements that I was working with. See if this makes sense to you when you see what I did. You want to focus on the look of the fonts without any distractions, okay? Now, of course, the submission instructions, one of the most important things that I can do at this point is to tell you that you need to submit the file as InDesign, as an InDesign file. I mean, you need to save it as an InDesign file. You need to export the InDesign document to a PDF. Now, most of you did this okay last week, but 1 or 2 of you messed this up. 1 or 2 of you submitted different documents that I can't accept. One of them was, can't think of what it was some kind of a text document that just I couldn't open it. And the other, I had several people send me InDesign documents unpackaged, and then I actually had a couple of people send me them packaged. You don't need all that. You just need to send me a PDF. Please, just send me a PDF, okay? It says it right here, look. InDesign file, but with a PDF extension. Submit the PDF file for grading. Please, guys, just submit a PDF, okay? Always keep your native and working files so that if I ask you to make changes to it, you can go back and make changes. But please submit a PDF file for grading. If you don't know how to create a PDF in Adobe InDesign, send me an email or come and see me, and I can try to explain the situation for you. Again, tomorrow night I'm going to be in multi-session here, so if you come in and you have a question on any of this, I will be more than happy to explain it to you. All right? That's basically it. I think I'm more or less done here. Again, as I said, I don't have anybody in the room tonight, so I can't ask if there are any questions from anybody because there's nobody to ask. So hopefully there aren't any questions. If you do have any questions, send me an email. All right, so let's go into the assignment here. Here's my assignment. And basically what I have is 2 pages. This is my assignment, and I did a sans serif, a display, a serif, and a script. Okay, so I did 4, and on my second page is where I would have my other 4. Okay, but again, as I told you, I just designed my first page. Now, when I was telling you not to use any decorative elements or not use any color, what I did was I took the frame, okay, because remember in Adobe InDesign, everything is in a frame. When you set text, it's in a frame. And this is text in a frame. This is text in a frame. This is text in a frame. So in every frame, I can inset the text, I can inset it, and I can add color to the background, which is exactly what I did. And I say color, but I, in fact, didn't really use color. What I used was I used a gray, and this is black. So I reversed the copy out. That, if you did it and submitted it this way, I have no problem doing it. just follow the directions. I'm going to show you how I did this, okay? I think visually this looks very good because it does a number of things. It gives you an idea of what a font like this looks like against black. It gives you an idea of what a font looks like against gray, and of course against white, okay? The fonts are all in black and white. The headline here, Myriad Pro, is in Myriad Pro. Bungee, the word bungee, is in bungee. Bodoni is in Bodoni, and Lobster 1.4 is, of course, in Lobster 1.4. The words sans serif, display, script, and serif are in a particular font. If I click on it, I'll see that it's in Myriad Pro Bold. Now, the body copy is in Times New Roman Regular, which, in my opinion, makes perfect sense because, again, Myriad Pro aligns very well with Myriad Pro as a head and a subhead, and the body copy is what I generally use, would be something like a Times New Roman. Does it have to be Times New Roman? No, but I generally recommend that for the body copy such as this, you work with some sort of a serif font. And this I set to 12/14. Okay, so as a rule, those are my settings for this thing. The body is 12/14. The subhead is 24/25, and the headline is 42 point. So it's 42 and 24/25 and 12/14 and times, and both of the two at the top. Well, actually, the top one is the font itself. Myriad Pro, Bungee, see, again, Bungee, Bodoni, Bodoni, and Lobster, Lobster. Okay? And now this here, this is what I'm going to call a masthead. And if you notice on both of my pages, that masthead appears. Okay? So what I did to make that appear on both of them was I put it on a master page up here. Okay, so there's the master page. Now, what a master page is used for, I don't know whether you know this or not, so I'm going to explain it. Master page gives you the opportunity to put an element on a page in the same position on a number of pages. So if I went in here and if I created 10 pages, let's come in here and let me create another page. Oh, no, you know what? I'm sorry. Edit, undo. I make a mistake. Let me go back into here. Let me click here. Okay, so I'm now in my regular pages. If I come down here and create a new page, that new page has that masthead on it. If I create a new page, it has that masthead on it. So each one of these has that masthead on it. Why? Because I have it on the master page. And the master page automatically applies to all these pages. Now, there's also this thing over here called none. And if I wanted to, I could drag this none, all right, which is a form of a master page. I can drag this none over top of one of these pages, and now page 2 has that header on it. Page 3 has that header on it because a master is associated with it. But watch what happens when I click on 4. None. Now, if I want to update that to the master page, I can just click and drag it back on, and now it appears again. If I want to get rid of it, I drag none, and it's gone again. So you have none here, which is no master page. That's essentially what that means, blank. And then you have your master page where I basically have my element on it, and I can make my pages. This page, I'm going to delete it, okay? And basically what I did for mine was I created 2 pages, and that's what I created for my piece. Now, one other thing that I wanted to show you here is my assignment. I'm going to click on my assignment. This is my assignment, and what I did was I created 4 of these. There's my Myriad Pro sans serif, and then basically here's my 60 words. Watch when I select this. Okay, so there's a total count. Look at the bottom here. See if you can see this. Make sure you can see this. There's a total word count down at the bottom of 402 words on this entire document. I have selected this area, see now when I deselect it, can you see it goes back to 204? 402, I'm sorry. If I click and drag over top of this, it shows the selected area, and it is 92 words. So I have 92 words for Myriad Pro. Then what I went in, which is more than what you need. You only need 50 or 60, but I made 92. And now I come in here and watch when I drag and select this. Now this is 90, so I'm only 2 words shorter than this. So you can see I deliberately tried to make around 90 to 92 words. Now let me go to the next one, and you'll see I got the same thing going on here. If I click and drag around here, I come up with 101 words. So you see, this is just a tiny little bit more than 92, okay? But they're all within the same range. That's the important thing. And I wrote this way. And here's my last one. There's 109. So this one's even a little bit more. So there's 109, 104, whatever, 92, whatever the other two, I don't remember now what number they are. But anyway, you get the general idea. And you can literally, you know, see what your total word count is, or you can come into Myriad Pro, which is one of the ones you're going to write, and you can select it, and it will show you right there how many words out of the total 409 you have created. Okay, so I'm just showing you this in Microsoft Word because what I think I would like you to do, and it makes perfect sense to me, is I'd like you to write this in Myriad Pro, I'm sorry, in Microsoft Word. I'd like you to write this in Microsoft Word so that you can take advantage of these things. So what I did was I set up my headline, Myriad Pro, I set my sans serif, which is the style, and then I put my copy in place. All right, and what I ultimately am going to do is I'm going to select this and I'm going to copy it and paste it into InDesign. But before I do that, let me go into InDesign and let me set up my page. Okay, so I'm going to leave this open because this is my model. This is what I'm going for. And I'm going to rebuild this for you to show you how I did this. And then we'll call, well, actually, hopefully I'll be able to do my critiquing tonight. That's what I'm going to do. I'll try to do that. So let me go File, New, Document, and let's open this guy up. New Document dialog box comes up. And what I want to do here is I want to come over to the right-hand side, and the width is going to be 8.5, so it's 8.5 inches wide by 11 inches high. The orientation is going to be portrait, not landscape, portrait. There's a button here that says facing pages. If you have a check mark in your facing pages like that, if it looks like that, I want you to click it and make it look like that. I do not want you to have facing pages. And the number of pages I'm going to set up are 2, not 1, 2. I'm giving the assignment is to do it on one page. If you want to do it on one page, please go ahead and do it on one page. I have no problem with that. I did it on 2 because I thought it looked better on 2. So I'm making 2 pages. Now, I've also used 2 columns, and I've used a 0.1 inch for my column gutter. Okay, now as far as the margins and bleeds go, the margins I've set at 0.5, which is a default. I've set it at 0.5. And notice how I got them linked. That means that it's all the settings, all of my margins will be the same. Okay? And then, of course, the bleed and slug, if you want to put the bleed in, I have to scroll down to get to that. Let me see here. Bleed, here we go. 0.125 IN. And it's also make all settings the same, so it's got to bleed all the way around. However, if you don't put bleed and slug in, that's perfectly fine because you're not really going to be using bleed and slug on this. But I'm just showing you that this is generally how you do it. And I generally put bleed and slug on these things all the time anyway. And then, of course, slug is 0.5 inches. And what that means is there's a space outside the actual document where the printer mark goes. So I'm going to hit Create because I have my settings. And I get this. Okay? So there is my slug. That blue line's my slug. There's my bleed. There's my trim. And there's my columns and my margins and my gutter. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin the process of building this guy right there. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to start off by taking my type tool. Now keep in mind, in Adobe InDesign, you have to create everything in a type tool. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag a frame across the top just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the paragraph panel. And on this, I'm going to set the paragraph, or the text to align to the center. Okay? And I'm going to write three things. DES-113 Typography Assignment 2 Font Category Research by Bill Sweeney. Now, so I'm going to do that. DES-113, and then and notice that I get web dings, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to select this and I'm going to change this from web dings to, let's go to Myriad Pro for a moment, all right? And then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to type in Assignment 2 Font Category Research, okay? So let's go back. ASSIGNMEN2, Assignment 2, FONTCATEGORYSEARCH, Font Category Research. Hit enter. And then I'm going to type BY and then BILLSWEENEY. There we go. And what I'm going to do with this is, currently, this is on page number 1. So if I go to page number 2, see, it doesn't exist on page number 2. It only exists on page number 1. So what I want to do before I do this is take a look at the assignment here, and you'll see that this is set to the first line. Let me get my type. My first line, let me go to my master page because that's where it is. My first line is set on Myriad Pro semi-bold 16 point over 20. And then this guy here is 20 point bungee, and this is Myriad Pro italic 14. All right, so the first line is 16 point semi-bold. So let's come in here and let me select that first line, and Myriad Pro, I want semi-bold 16, where are we at? 18, let's go to 16 over 20. Now let's select the next line right here, and the next line, if you look at this, is bungee regular 20 over 25. So I'm going to go back into here, and I'm going to type bungee right there. And notice that it's a cap. It only comes in caps. And what did I say? It was 24 over 25. I think that's what it was. Let's go 24. 24. That don't look right. Let me go back here. What was it, actually? It was 20. Okay, so it was 20. Okay, so I made a mistake. Let's go back in here and make it 20. 20. And then this guy here, I believe, was 8 point. Too small, 9 point, or maybe it was 10 point. Let's go back and look, see what it is. This is 14. Oh, it's big, 14 point. Okay, 14 point, awful big. All right, so let's make this 14 point. Myriad Pro, 14 point, and this is just going to be italic. Now, the other thing that I want to do is, this guy here is a byline, and I don't want the byline to be in the center. What I want the byline to be is I want it to be flush to the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into paragraph. Look right here. Go into paragraph, and I'm going to change it from center align to left align. And now it goes in left align. Now, the other thing that I want to do is I'm going to set my cursor in front of the B in by, and I'm going to hit tab, and I put a tab stop into this. I tabbed it. I'm going to go to the type menu. I'm going to go to tabs, and I'm going to move this down, and I'm going to take this tab, and I'm going to move that tab over until it aligns with the A. Actually, I went too far with it. Let's come back about halfway. Too far again. Let's come back to about there. Actually, this is probably not the best way to do this. Let's try it again. Yeah, I'm going to drag that back over there, and let's bring a tab stop down in here. There we go. And now let's move it over. There we go. So I made a tab stop, and now that byline is lined up where I want it. The problem is it's awful close. So what I'm going to do is I can get rid of this. I'm going to open this frame up just a bit more. Let me open this frame up a little bit more. Drag this frame down to about there. About like that. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is, all right, I want to go to the Object menu, and I want to go to Text Frame Options. And what I'm going to do here is the alignment. I'm going to change the alignment from the top to the center. And you see how it changed the alignment of all that copy until it's touching the center of this instead of, let me go back and show you. Go back to the top. It started out looking like that. I simply went to vertical justification and I changed it from top to center, and now it's center aligned, which is exactly what I want. And if I make this frame a little bit smaller, I'm going to hit OK, by the way. If I make this frame a little bit smaller, just to show you that you could do this, I make that frame a little bit smaller. You see how it adjusts it and still adjusts the centering on it. Let me open it back up a little bit because I think that's probably good right there. Now, what I want to do is I want to first of all select all the type because I'm going to change the type from black to white. All right, so I'm going to go into the character panel again. And right now the text is filled with black. So I'm going to click and I'm going to choose paper. And now if you take a look at this, you can't see anything because the type is paper or white. Now I'm going to click on the frame, not the actual text itself, but the frame. Click on the frame, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the fill and I'm going to make that black. And now when I deselect it, there is my banner. And if I take a look at this thing, go to page 2, it's not on page 2. So what I want to do is I want to take this thing and I want to select it and I want to go Edit, Cut. And I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to go to A Master, double click on A Master, and I want to go Edit, Paste in Place. Boom. And now what I've done essentially is I've pasted that header in place of my A Master. So when I go back to page 1, magically it appears on page 1. When I go to page 2, magically appears on page 2 in exactly the same position. So there's my header. Okay? So that's the first thing. Now, the next thing is I'm going to create frames. All right? Now, the frames, let me go back here and take a look at my assignment because I try to do this the easiest way so that you get a sense. Here's my frame. All right? So my frame, it has a width of 3.7 inches and a height of 4.33 inches. Okay? So what I'm going to do here is come in here, and I'm trying to make this, you're probably not going to do it this way. I'm doing it this way because I'm trying to, do this somewhat easy. The size of these frames are important only in my design. They're not important in your design. I want to show you how I set the copy and do all that stuff. That's what's really important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and I'm going to place my cursor there, and I'm going to get my rectangle options. And as I told you, the width is 3.7, so I'm going to set it to 3. Oh, wrong number. 3.7 inches, and the height is going to be 4.333. And if I hit OK, there is my frame. Okay? And I'm going to click and I'm going to drag that frame and place it right about there. I'm going to go Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste in Place. And then I'm going to hold the Shift key down and I'm going to use the down arrow to walk that frame down until I reach the bottom or my margin right there. There it is. And what I need to do is I need to take this and I need to move that up a little bit. There we go. That's going to go right up to there. That's how that's going to be. Okay? And then this guy here, probably what I would probably do with this, go into my master page, okay, and I would probably move that master item up a little bit, cheat it up a little bit. Then this way, I got a little bit of clearance right there, okay? So now these things are separated slightly. So there are my frames. That's how I created my frames. Now I want to create the same frames over here. The easiest way to do that is to select both of them, edit, copy, edit, paste in place, and then holding the shift key down again, and this time the right arrow. And the arrows I'm talking about are in the lower right hand corner of your keyboard. There's an up arrow, down arrow, right arrow, left arrow. By holding the shift key down and having your item selected, if you right arrow it, it's going to move those selected items in the direction that the arrows are pointing. And this way it's going to go to the right. And now I've got that there. So there's my 4 frames. Okay, there are my 4 frames. I go back to my assignment, and you can see what I'm trying to do here. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. That's where, there it is. And instead of using the type tool, I've actually used the rectangle tool so that you can see the X's in here. And I thought visually it will make it easier for you to understand what's going on. Doesn't matter all that much, because if I click on the type tool, and if I come in here and click on that frame, it automatically changes that frame from a regular rectangular shape to a text frame. Can you see the little blinking cursor up there? That basically is establishing this as a text frame. And now it's all ready for me to put my text into it. So what I'm going to do is, while this is flashing and I have this tool selected, I'm going to come up to my assignment copy, and you see how I got Myriad Pro? I got all this selected. Okay, I got it all selected. I'm going to option, let's see, hold on, let me get this thing selected again. I'm going to, oh, missed it again. Come on. Oh, come on, give me a break. Ugh. I'm not having any luck with this tonight. I'm not having any luck with it. Okay, I'm right mouse keying it, and I'm copying it. Okay, I used my right mouse. You should, I believe it's the Alt or the Option click it is what it is, but it doesn't seem to want to work for me tonight. It doesn't want to work for me tonight for some reason, which I don't understand. But anyway, I'm using my right key. Basically, what you're doing is you're going to copy it, okay? And then you're going to come back into here and make sure that you got your flashing cursor, and you're going to go Control-V, and you're going to paste it in there, all right? So now that I've pasted this in here, I'm going to format this. Now, there's 2 things that you should probably understand. I'm going to close this Pages panel because there's 2 things that you should understand. And let me zoom in on this a little bit so that you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Okay, so what's going to happen is that the first line is going to be set in Myriad Pro. Right now it's set in Minion Pro. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that from Myriad Pro, or from Minion Pro to Myriad Pro. Let's see if I can find that. It should be at the top. There it is right there, Myriad Pro. So now that first line right there, because this is Myriad Pro's a sans serif font, and look what it says. I chose Myriad for my sans serif font, blah, blah, blah. So there it is, Myriad Pro, and what I used was Myriad Pro Bold, okay? And I'm not sure what size it was, but I think it was 24. Let's try, let me see, 72? No, it wasn't 72. It was probably something like 48, 47, 40. No, let me go back to the original, see what I used. I used 42. Okay, so that's close. Let's go in here and make it 42. Make it 42. And 42. There it is. Okay, so there's 42. And now the sans serif, here's the thing. The sans serif, all 4 of these things are the same font. It's Myriad Pro Bold, Myriad Pro Bold, 24 over 25. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and on this one, I'm going to go Myriad Pro. Watch what I do. This is important because it will save you a lot of trouble. Myriad Pro, and I want it to be bold. And then I want it to be, see, it's set currently to 12 over 14. But what I want to do is, what did I say the size was? I know what it is. Hold on, let me go back. It's 24 over 25. 24 over 25. There we go. Now watch, when I deselect it, can you see how nicely it sits right there? So let's reselect it, and you can see that it is Myriad Pro Bold 24 over 25. Now my other 4 ones, let's go back into here. So it's going to be 24. Let's set this to 24. Okay, and let's make it 25. Okay, beautiful. That's exactly what I want. Myriad Pro Bold 24 over 25. I am going to use this setting. I'm going to use this setting for all 4 of my subheads. That means that the easiest way to do this is for me to create a character style. The reason that I'm making it a character style, actually, you know what? I think what I'm going to do is make it a paragraph style, because I don't have space after. I may want space after, so I'm going to make it a paragraph style. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to select my paragraph style. And what I'm going to do is, with this selected, right now what I got is Myriad Pro Bold 24 over 25. That's what I basically have right now. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go new paragraph style. And I'm going to name this subhead, S-U-B-H-E-A-D, subhead. Now, right here is what I have my style. This is what my style information is. Myriad Pro plus bold, size 24 point, leading 25 point. And I'm going to hit OK. All right, so I've created a paragraph style called subhead. All right, so that's the first thing. The second thing, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create a body style. All right, and it'll be a paragraph style as well. So what I did for that was click in here so that you could see it. Times New Roman regular 12 over 14. All right, and then in the paragraph, I have made it center align with a space after of 125. Okay, a space after of 125. Now this guy here, there's also a space after of 0625. So I'm going to have to apply that in a minute. And then the other thing is, let's go to paragraph style. You'll also notice that in here, I removed hyphenation. All right, so let's go in and let's set that style up. All right, so I said that the body copy is going to be 12 over 14, and it's going to be Myriad Pro. Myriad Pro, 12 over 14. Okay, and I'm going to remove hyphenation, so there's no hyphenation. All right. And let's see if that's, let's see what we got here. See if that's it, 12 over 14. Word spacing, I got a -11. I don't think I need a -11 on this thing. It looks like there's plenty of space. Okay, but what I did do, let's go back into here, and let's go into paragraph. And what I did do is I did a space after a 0.125. There we go, 125. And then this, I did a space after a 0.1. There we go, right there. All right, there it is. That's my style. Now, what's left? All right, what's left is I want to do an inset spacing. That's done on the actual frame itself. Watch. Come in here. See how that frame has got an inset spacing? Got a little inset spacing right there. To do that, what do? I go to the Object menu, and I go to Text Frame Options, and take a look. Inset spacing is 1875. Okay? There it is right there. And it is also linked, so it is all the way around. 1875. Hit Cancel, and let's go back into here, and let's go to Object, Text Frame Options, and set it to 1875. There, right there. Oh, and it has to be linked. There we go. I'm sorry. It has to be linked. So can you see now? Look what happens. By doing this, I get a nice spacing for this. I get a nice spacing for this. And I get this copy falling perfectly into position. So I hit OK. And now that one's done. Okay. Now, if I want, I can click on this frame and I can go to the object menu and I can go text frame options. Actually, I don't think it's letting me do that. I might have to put the text in first. Object, text frame options. Let's see here. Yeah, I have to put text in it first, so I can't really do that right now. So I'm going to go back in, click on this with the type tool. Okay, let's get ready to do the next one. Let's go up to the assignment, and let's go to Bungee. Let me grab Bungee. That's the next one. And I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it, Control V. And then I'm just going to basically establish my setting here. Actually, if I want, now I can select this frame, go to Object, and go to Text Frame Options, and I can set that to inset spacing of 1, 2, 3, 1875. Hit OK. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to set Bungee in the font. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to set it to Bungee. Let me go up. Go to Bungee, right there. And now the size is right here. Look, it's 42 over 50. I think it's just 50. There we go. And let's set this thing to 42. Let's go to 42. 48, it's going to have to go 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And set it to 50. And there we have that. And now watch this. This is what's really great. I take the word display. I come over here to my paragraph style. I click on subhead. And what happened? My paragraph style failed. Didn't I get my paragraph style? Why didn't I? Is it the character? What did I do here? Where did my paragraph style go? All right. You know what? I guess I didn't make it. Let me come here and let me make my paragraph style. New paragraph style. And we're going to call this body. Maybe that's what it is. Body. And hit OK. And there it is. And let me come in here to my subhead. So that there I go. Control Z. There we go. Let me click on display and choose subhead. There. That worked. Now I'll come in here and let me click on my copy. And let's go to body. And there. That worked. Okay. So there we go. Now that one's set. Now what I did here, just so that you know, what I did, I left this white. Once again, like I did at the top, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to very carefully select all this copy. Select all this copy. I'm going to go to type. I'm going to change it to paper. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to select the frame like that. And I'm going to change the frame to black. There. Okay. Now let's go view, fit page and window. And I'm running out of time here, and I do want to do some critiquing. So that's basically how I did this, okay? That's basically how I did this. Now, do you have to do it that way? You don't have to do it that way. I'm just showing you how I did it, okay? So what I want to do now is, in order to, to be honest, I had you go to the trouble of putting this in. So I want to give you guys some critique. So I'm going to cut this off right here. And let's go back in and let's do my critiquing real quick because I'm running out of time and I do want to do that. So, okay, so let's go in here. Here's the first one. This one is by Candace. Candace, I have to tell you something. This is amazing. You did a great job on this. It's got an economy. I mean, what you did is a very strong characterization using Gill Sans. There's an economy to this. I mean, I don't know. It's just so advanced looking. You did a great job. I mean, you did use the characters. You did use the fonts. You can see you've outlined them. You've done everything correct here. You've used several different weights. You've come up with a character that's just absolutely phenomenal. There were 4 or 5 other people that did really tremendous jobs with this. But this one here is just a great character. He's got a great style. It's a great use of the font. She used different weights of fonts. She used some basic letters. And she used some special, not special, but glyphs. She used some glyphs here. Let's go to Gill Sans. Let's see if I have Gill Sans in here. Let's go to Yeah, and let's go to Gill Sans if I can. Yeah, there we go, Gill Sans, and let's go to, yeah, there we go, there we go. There's Gill Sans. Okay, so there's the font that she used. Here's one of the characters that she used right there. I guess I actually have to set. Yeah, there we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. There's one of the characters that she used right there. You know, obviously it's a lot smaller. You have to bring it up. There's one of the characters that she used. Okay. There's probably, let's see what we got here. Let's see if I can identify some of the others that she has in here. There's one of them right there. There's one. Come on, you. Change. I don't know why it's not changing. I got it selected. Try it again. Where are you? Let's see if I can change it. Try it again. Yeah, for some reason it's not changing. Let's see if I do another one. There we go. Let's try it now. Okay, there you go. For some reason it didn't want to change. I don't know why. There's another one of her characters right there. Okay, so she used a number of different weights, which is good. I mean, here's something. I'm not exactly sure what this piece is, but I'm sure it's probably in here somewhere. I mean, it's probably in here somewhere. I'm not exactly sure. It might be in black. Let's see. Gill Sans bold. Yeah, see, this is bold. It's probably in here. It's not a C. I'm not sure what that is, but anyway, it's probably in here somewhere. Unless she cheated and cut something in half, which is okay. I don't mind if she did that. But at any rate, this is, you can see where she came up with this, and she did use the font very well, and she did at the end put Gill Sans underneath it. So I have to be honest with you. I was very impressed with this one, only because it's such a strong face, and she did it in such an economical way. So I just want to tell you, Candace, that you did a very great job on this. Really super clean, very strong graphic face. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And as I say, there's a number of other people I loved, and I really wish that I could get you guys to submit them for me. Now, Donald, this is a good face too. It works out okay. The problem that I have with this is that I checked you out. You did not use Ohm regular bold in your discussion. So this is incorrect in that you should have the font that you used in your discussion. Off the top of my head now, I don't remember exactly what font you were talking about. I know I checked it out, and I know I put it in my notes to you, but I don't have a problem with what you created. I think it's a face and it works out good. The problem that I have with it is that it's not the right font. So what I'm asking you to do with this, and I did ask you this in my discussion, or not my discussion, but in my critique, was that you go back in and just modify this to make it from the font that you made your discussion with. It's very important that when you guys do these assignments, you read the assignments very carefully. Very important, because, you know, again, little subtle things like this, you know, just keep me from being able to give you a full grade on it, you know. And it's not a big deal. You did the work. It's just that you're using the wrong font. So please go back in and make the correction, okay? Other than that, though, I mean, if you took a look at the samples that you were provided with, all right, let's go back and see what they look like. Let's go back here for a second real quickly. Let's go to assignments, because this is something that I think you should probably have some focus on and understand. Let's go into the assignments, and let's go to week 1 real quickly here. We got a few moments to be able to do this, so let's do it. Go to week 1 assignment, and let's go down to the samples that were provided for us, and you'll see when I go down there and I show you one. Here's sample 1. Yeah, hit OK, and let's open it in PDF. There we go. Here it comes. There it is. So see, that's very much like what you did, okay? And I think you'll find that it's very similar the other one. So I mean, I'm not faulting you. I'm not saying that your piece isn't good. It's just that you didn't do it in the right font. It's not the font that you use. See, and again, there's another one. Okay, there's another one. Let's fit this so you can see it. There's another one. All right. So again, it's very important very important that you understand that when you do these assignments, you read the instructions carefully. Here's another one. This one I really love too. I don't know whether Rodney had this in mind or not, but I swear this looks like Harpo Marx. When I look at this, this looks like Harpo Marx. I mean, with the cheeks all blown out like he would do, and with the hair all curly like this, and with the heavy eyebrows, I just thought this looked so much like Harpo Marx that I couldn't even believe it. And again, I just thought this was very good, very nicely done. You know, and as I was saying to you before, frankly, the other students, there were 4 or 5 others that were tremendous, and I would have loved to be able to show you guys their work, but they didn't email me back, and I'm not going to show people's work unless they give me the go-ahead to do it. So all I'm saying to you is if you guys want to show the work, send me an email, let me know, and I will show them next week because they're worth seeing. Some of them were really good. So we still have about 6 minutes left, so let me get out of here, because this wasn't really a critique as much as it was just me being able to show you some of the ones that I really liked. And there were several others that I really liked I didn't get to show you, but I wanted to do it anyway. All right, so let's do one more of these things, okay? So let's click on this, and let's take the type tool and click here. All right, and let's go up to my assignment. Again, I like to copy. I like to do my copy outside in Microsoft Word. So I'm going to select this. This is going to be the Bodoni, and let's click on Bodoni, and let's go copy. And then let's go Command-V to paste it. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the first line as Bodoni. And I think that should be at the top, and there it is right there, Bodoni. And I forget the size, but the size is 42/50. Okay, so there you go. Now, the only thing that you need to know here is I really can't set a headline style for this, although I probably could. But the problem is it would involve the font itself. So I didn't do that, all right? That was the only one that I didn't, because each one of the headline fonts are different. Okay, so this is going to be 42. Let's go to 48, and then go back down to 42. Up, 42, over 50. Oop, wrong way, 50. And then it's, I believe it was Bodoni Black. No, it was Bodoni Bold, I think. Yeah, Bodoni Bold. That's it. All right, and now let's zoom in on this a little bit so you get a better sense of this. Oh, and by the way, as I say, you don't have, there's no problem. You come up here to the object menu, and you go to text frame options, and you come into the text frame options, and you do your inset spacing. And the inset spacing in this case was 1875. Only reason it's 1875 is because I wanted to get a nice, clean, even area around here. Okay, and then of course what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the word serif, and I'm going to go to my paragraph style, which I created, subhead, click on it, and I get my subhead. And then I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to select my body copy, and I'm going to select the body copy style. Oops, hit it too many times. There's my body copy style, all right? And now if I take a look at this, that one is set up perfect. I actually have some inset spacing. Now, in my case, what that inset spacing is that I got a little bit of extra type there, okay? So that's a bit of a problem. Well, you know what? What I could do is, I guess I could just leave it like that. It's not that big of a deal. I'll bring it right down to about there. Whoop, let's go a little bit further out, since that one's going to be white. All right, and then I'm going to select the last one, and let's go back up here because I still have a couple of minutes left, and let's get the last one. And this one here is going to be lobster, and let's copy it, and let's come in here, and let's get my text tool, and let's go Control-V, paste it, and then I'm going to set this at the top to be lobster 1.4, and then of course there's the size again, 42/50. I'm just going to come up here and set it to 42. There, and over 50. Okay, then I'm going to click on the word script. Going to go to my paragraph styles, and I'm going to apply my subhead to it. Perfect. And then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to backspace, Let me see if I got any extra lines down there. No, I don't. Okay, select this, and then I'm going to go to body, and there's my body. And that one here, again, I have to inset it. So let's go in and let's do my inset, right? And let's go to Object, Text Frame Options, and then I'm going to do Inset Spacing of 1875, and then hit OK. And now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to, Control Z, select this guy. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to select the color for the frame, and I'm going to make it black, all right? But what I want to do really is I want to come in here and, let's see, cancel. And let me go to color, go to Window, Color. Where are we at here? Right there. Color. There we go. And I'm going to set this to be like around a 40% gray. Try 40%. See what that looks good. There we go, 40% gray. All right. And there we have that. And let's go to the View menu and let's go Fit Page and Window. And let's deselect this guy. Now what I could do here is I could take this thing and I could actually move this up a little bit. I don't think that's going to hurt at all. Let's move this up a little bit. And this one here, I'm noticing that there's a little bit of extra down here, which I believe is just, oh no, there it is. Okay, so there it is. That's it right there. So actually, then since that's the case, I'm going to bring this thing back down. Let's bring it back down so that it's even. There we go, right down to about there. And if I go to my guides here, let me drag a guide out so I can baseline this thing properly. There we go. Let's bring it down a little bit more. There we go. That's it. That's good. There. Now actually, let's go View, Fit Page and Window. Now actually what I would do with this thing is I would probably come in here, select the whole thing, all of it. Actually I can't because I won't get this headline. I have to move that up separately. And I'm just going to up it a little bit. There we go. That's good right there. Then come into my master page, click on this and go up one time. And let's go View, Fit Page and Window. And let's bring it back down to page one. And there's my page. Now I might have gone a little too high with this, so I'll bring it back down a little bit. There we go. And now come back into my page, and let's go to the View menu, and let's go Screen Mode, and let's go to Preview. All right, and there is my page. There's the page. You're going to do two of them. And then what I do, just so that you understand, I'm going to go to the File menu. I'm going to go Export, and I'm going to call this, I'm going to just call this My Submission. You're not going to call it My Submission. You're going to name it the correct way as you are instructed to do. I'm just going to set this on my desktop so I can quickly open it and show it to you. Hit Save, and then export it. And then I'm going to come in here. Let me get this out of here. And it should be, there it is right there. There it is. There is my submission. That's what you're going to submit to me. There's the assignment submission. There it is, all done. Okay, guys? That's it. Now, again, I'm just trying to show you some things that you could do. You don't have to do exactly what I did. You can do something similar to what I did. There's no problem. But at any rate, tomorrow night we have multi-session. I'll be here. Please come in if you need help. You want to talk to me. You want something explained. Don't hesitate. And then, of course, Wednesday from 7 to 11 p.m. Mountain Time. Friday from 9 o'clock until 12, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Mountain Time. Saturday from 7 to 12 p.m. Mountain Time. Good luck, and I'll have this ready for you later. Have a good evening.